welcome to Tectonic Takes. It's your boy Favi. It's like 1 a.m. right now. I'm gonna wake everybody up in my house, but I'm here with one of my best friends. What's up, Ivan? How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's 7:43 Pacific Standard Time, and my family, we're morning people, but not 7:43 a.m. morning people. So hopefully, I don't wake up people in my house. Uh, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I don't get any complaints an hour or two from now.
And guys, big changes are coming. I mean, maybe not to the earthquakes, but Ivan, tell us about your exciting news, man.
Yeah, so June 12th is my day where I'm hitting the road, leaving San Diego. I'll be moving to Livermore, so I'll be back in the Bay Area and I'll be back going to Quakes games with regularity. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, no, definitely. This San Jose Earthquakes beat writer has really picked up. It's given you a great job opportunity. The dream one day, right? One day,
Yeah,
possibly.
one day potentially. I am pursuing one of my dreams though. I've been offered after my internship to teach an online course
That's
at
awesome.
Cuyamaca College, so I'll be doing that remotely.
Oh,
But I'll still be, you know, excited to be more involved in the Quakes community as well, though. So that'll be fun.
no, that's awesome, Ivan. That's actually
Yeah.
great to hear as your friend. I mean, oh man, especially having an internship and then getting a job afterwards. That means you did a great job, dude. Congratulations.
Right. It's a start into something that I've been pursuing since I started my master's degree, and I always told myself I'd be pursuing this dream along with my dream of covering sports through this podcast
Yeah.
too. So I'm gonna continue to chase both as far as I can, and I'm just living the moment. I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing now, and I'm looking forward to what's ahead.
Well, all right. Well, let's get right back into it. Before we actually get into this, I want to give a quick shout out to all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you
Oh
guys so
yeah,
much.
thank
Um,
you.
with the money so far, we have been able to fund this podcast. And I was telling Ivan, we finally have a video editing software. So thank you guys so much. Again, this is going straight into creating more content. Um, we got to talk about what's coming next, but definitely thank you so much for everybody that's been supporting us. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, please take a second to like this video. And if you want, comment. I mean, it's going to help our analytics a lot. It's going to help everybody get, seen in the Quakes universe. So definitely helps us all a lot if you just like this video, just because it helps us grow the community a little bit more. And we get to probably reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers within a year, so that we can get another way of monetizing and growing this podcast a little more too. So please share us with your Quakes friends and as well as like this podcast. But let's get right into it. The Quakes slump continues, and it will be tough to get out of that funk anytime soon, as it will be 3 weeks before they can change their fortunes. Ivan, are you ready for this international break?
I'm looking at this international break like New York Jets fans look at a bye week in an NFL season. Like, this is bad. Like, we need this break. And it would be nice to have no possibility of losing a game during this time.
Right.
So, that itself is a win right now. We just need to use this time to get our heads together. Jackson Ewell has an opportunity for the U.S. men's national team.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go quite according to plan for him. He started in the 2-1 loss to Switzerland. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but non-Quakes fans unfortunately weren't as excited to see him as we are, because Yunus Musa is also a brilliant player. He is a young American who plays for Valencia, and he was the one that most fans were clamoring for, even though neither him nor Jackson Ewell, to be honest, were the best choices to be that number 6 role.
Mm.
Uh, Greg Berhalter, like Pep Guardiola, decided he didn't need a out and out defensive midfielder for this game.
Mm.
Thankfully, losing 2-1 to Switzerland wasn't as severe as Manchester City losing
Yeah.
1-0 to Chelsea in the Champions League final. But also from a U.S. men's national team perspective, Christian Pulisic is the first American player to, while on the field, he won the Champions League
Yeah.
final. So that's incredible achievement for Americans abroad.
And I loved how he was wearing that U.S. men's national team sweater. I mean, he
That's
there's
perfect.
yeah, there's some sort of awesomeness to that, right? I mean, damn, this guy, that's something like Uruguayans would do, right? They would bring the flag out when they win their championship. But this is great to see out of an American, right? This is something that all of us American US men's national team fans have been waiting for, this passion, this want to help the next generation come up with that fire and that want to succeed to win that World Cup. So it's just a great thing to see.
Yeah, one last comment about the friendly loss to Switzerland, because we're gonna bring it over to Anthony Noto and the Tectonic Yanks for more in-depth coverage. You learn more from a close, hard-fought loss to a good opponent. I think Switzerland is a top 25 team in the world at least, and then you do winning over and over again against B or C tier opponents, with all due respect. So I think this is a good opportunity for Greg Berhalter and the U.S. men's national team to be like, okay, it didn't go as planned, but we're going to move on to our next game against Honduras, and we're going to do better than we did this time and see what works. And lastly, for all our Mexican listeners, El Chucky Lozano powered Mexico to a 2-1 comeback win over Iceland in the stadium formerly known as Cowboy Stadium this past weekend. So it was a good win for the Mexican national team, a warm-up against Iceland. It's not the same Iceland that beat England in the Euros 5 years ago, but a win's a win. So, you take that positive momentum into the CONCACAF Nations League finals. So good for you guys.
Yeah, and a little bit of news of football news kind of in the US. We might see a Copa America in the US. It's looking more and more like every single day that we're gonna see a Copa America. I'm not gonna toot my own horn right here, but Uruguay's looking like the favorites to win this cup. So I hope all you fans go out there, represent me in those Uruguay games. So please go out there and cheer for a team if you want to, but choose Uruguay, right? So I got the opportunity to see the Copa Centenario, where the U.S. was hosting the Copa America, the 100-year anniversary, and we went to go see the Uruguay Jamaica game. So definitely, it's if you guys get the Copa America, definitely go out to those games. It's a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of football that you wouldn't regularly see. I mean, of course, the Argentina game is going to be sold out. You're going to get to see, Messi, Kun Agüero, Dybala, guys you really don't see in the U.S., right? So Neymar in Brazil, so Suarez, Cavani, Uruguay. So definitely go out and see those games. You might not see those guys back on American soil, but maybe we see Suarez in a Seattle Sounders uni someday. But definitely, it's great news. But we have a little more Quakes news to talk about coming up. It's not looking good, guys. Another loss, another 1-0 loss on a own goal by Tanner Beeson. And Tanner Beeson was a very bright spot in this game, and unfortunately, it didn't finish that way. Ivan, first
Yeah.
thoughts on the game?
Yep. So we take the action to Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, and the lineups were for the Galaxy had Jonathan Bond in goal. The name's Bond, Jonathan Bond. That's how terrific he was. Julian Araujo, Daniel Steres, Nick Dupuy, and Jorge Villafaña as the
Shaken,
back
not
line.
stirred. All right.
Yep. Jonathan Dos Santos and Sacha Kleshchan as their midfield duo, Cameron Dunbar and Kevin Cabral as their wingers, Efrain Alvarez in the number 10 role, and Chicharito, who else but him, as forward for LA Galaxy. He had a terrific start to the season, but for all you fantasy owners of him, he only got 3 points unless you captained him and got 6. But still, it's always good to see Chicharito, except, when he's against your team. Youth subs, they had Victor Vasquez, Samuel Grancer, Ethan Zubak, and Adam Saldana.
Mhm.
And their changes from their 3-0 loss to Timbers at Providence Park, Williams was suspended due to red card. Sebastian Letget was unavailable because he was scoring for the U.S. men's national team. And that opened the door for Dupuy and Kletshan to start. And Grantier moved to the bench with Cameron Dunbar taking his place, and that ended up being the smart move for Greg Vanney, as he was able to cause that own goal with his influence from the bench. And a little bit of a side note, Greg Vanney, of course, is former Toronto coach, and given all the drama going there with Josie Altidore and stuff, I'm sure he's happy to be away from that tire fire.
Yeah.
With all
Anybody
due
want
respect
to?
to my friend Connor Somerville, who is the editor and one of the hosts of the MLS Multiplex podcast, and he's also probably pretty sad about the Maple Leafs right now.
Yeah, and any relation to Frank Somerville? I mean, KTVU too.
Unless Frank Somerville is Canadian, I don't think so.
Hey, that you know what's the funniest thing? That dude's wild. You ever seen him at a Sharks game? Just plastered. That dude is wild. So definitely, all
Life
that
of the party.
Jed York tweeting when he's drunk, right? So definitely, that dude is wild. But this is probably the worst loss I've ever seen, right? So this one hurts bad. I mean, it's a Clasico, right? So I got to ask Wondolowski in the post-game press conference, where do you rank this, Cali Clasico in all your Cali Clasicos? And he's like, not even top 10. I mean, the atmosphere was nice, but besides that, we didn't do anything that we wanted to do in our game plan or anything, right? So not a Cali Clasico to remember. Unfortunately, Seychelles didn't finish the game with his shirt off, but to lose on an own goal like that, Ivan,
I know.
it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts, especially when Tanner Beeson was shot blocking like he was a goon, like a goon player in hockey, right? Put him out there on the Sharks team with those blocks. Come on. I wouldn't be surprised if Tanner Beeson finishes the season without all of his teeth, right? So
if there's any consolation, I feel like the way he's played this season, the way he's grown as a professional soccer player, like I would be concerned for other players that this own goal would shred his confidence. I don't think it will. I think he's going to take it on the chin. He's going to continue forward because he's been trusted by Matias Almeida. And we'll talk a little bit later about his role in these losses and maybe some his decision making isn't up to par. But for what it's worth, he's been trusting Tanner Beeson. He didn't make a signing this past window to bring in a more experienced center back as cover or to compete with Alanis and Youngworth to start. Instead, it's Beeson competing with them to get starts, and that's what he's done. Look at this Quakes lineup. JT Marcinkowski in goal, Tommy Thompson, Flo, Tanner Beeson, and Marcos Lopez, the back four. Jutsunen, Remedy, the midfield partnership. Christian Espinoza and Carlos Fierro on the wings. Chofis Lopez in the 10, and Cade Cowell up top with Chris Wondolowski, Shea Salinas, Andy Rios, Paul Marine, and Sia Haji as the youth subs. The changes from the 3-1 home loss to Sporting Kansas City. Beeson starts for Alanis. Marcos Lopez starts for Paul Marie. And Utzon starts with the void that Ewell left on international duty. And Carlos Fierro was moved to the starting lineup, and Andy Rios was moved to the bench. And then that allowed Cade Cowell to be the starting striker for this game.
Yeah, pretty solid lineup from the Quakes. Of course, we missed Jackson Ewell. We missed that creativity in the middle. Evidently missed him. With not enough creativity to even, get in on goal. Wondolowski was talking about how a lot of the guys on the Quakes are playing a lot of hero ball, which means there's not a lot of off-ball movement. I mean, Stephen Curry would be mad at this team for not creating any off-the-ball movement, but we need to stop
numbers.
We need to stop that. Definitely.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it from Espinoza. I used to see Espinoza go to that end line and like kind of chip it back over, but I haven't seen that yet this year. I see him just hitting a whole bunch of long shots from outside of the box. And unfortunately, that happened a lot this game. Literally, these guys were trying to beat possibly one of the MLS goalkeepers of the year candidates in Jonathan Bond with a long range shot. And the only time I ever saw it possibly do some sort of damage was Andy Rios' shot. Andy Rios' shot was actually not grabbed, it was blocked, and it went right to Salinas' feet. And unfortunately, this wasn't a Cali Clasico where Salinas is the hero, and it hit Jonathan Bond right in the face, and the rest is history. But again, this was a game where we should have looked for that, second to third pass in the box, but it just wasn't happening. And then every time we had a long ball or a long shot that went over the goalie, then the goalie took off 30 seconds every time to kick it, the goal kick out, and then the same thing repeats. So definitely not the best offensive game for the Quakes. And I'm starting to think that we don't need a DP signing for the center back position. We might need something for the offense.
Yeah, without going into the long history of DPs in Major League Soccer and how few, if any of them, were center backs, that would be the most likely scenario if Quakes were to make a signing, which that itself isn't always the most likely scenario. But let's go into the stats real quick. The Galaxy outshot San Jose Earthquakes 21-18. Quakes had more shots on target though, 12-8, which of course means 12 saves for Jonathan Bond. It was a 50-50 possession battle. Passing accuracy was nearly identical, 83 for Galaxy, 84 for Quakes. Quakes had one chance created, LA Galaxy didn't. I wonder if that chance created was for LA Galaxy in their own goal. Both had four corners. Fouls, Galaxy led 16-11, which is reflected in them having three players booked, De Santos, Araujo, and Kleshtan, to our one player book, which is Udson. And then Quakes had one offside to Galaxy 0. Be careful what you wish for. We wanted the Quakes to score more goals, but like with genies, you have to be specific with soccer gods. We didn't mean own goals. Come on now.
Right, rub that,
Lamp.
rub lantern, right, and then see the genie come out. But yeah, unfortunately, the own goal was the killer. I mean, the Galaxy hit the post, I believe, a couple of times, and they should have had a couple of goals, but it was taken away. But I think we were supposed to lose this game. I mean, if you have one goal in the last four games, you're expected to lose games, right? So
Yeah,
I
not
think
good enough.
at the end of the day, this was okay. I mean, yes, unfortunately we lost, but the way our offense played, we couldn't even have gotten a draw. A 0-0 draw is not something to be proud of, especially in an Almeida system. And it was
Yeah.
evident that Matias Almeida was kind of done with it. I mean, he didn't even want to answer questions in the post game. So definitely frustration has clouded the Earthquakes, and hopefully we see this team come out of the international break with a new kind of blood and a new want to, because they're still in the playoffs, right? So definitely something to chew
Barely.
on,
We're
right?
barely in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
We'll explain the situation when we get to the table. But looking at the Galaxy, and as much as I hate to compliment our rivals, I have to admit this Galaxy team looks a lot less top heavy than when Zlatan was the big man on campus. And Jonathan Bond is an example of that. He is looking like their best keeper they've had since either Josh Saunders or Donovan Ricketts, MLS Cup winners. So
Mm.
that's a good sign for them. That's a signing that they've usually overlooked. We have players like Brian Rowe, who he was also an MLS Cup winner, but you don't think of him as like an exciting like top end MLS goalkeeper who recently retired though. Congrats on his career.
Yeah, but
But
the Galaxy have
yeah.
had multiple goalies in the past couple of years, right? They had David Bingham, and then they had
Mhm.
Klinsman, Jonathan Klinsman, I
Clement
believe.
Diop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Clement Diop, and then as well, now we're looking at Jonathan Bond. So they've spent the money on their goalies, and it looks like they found one.
Yeah, and also like for LA Galaxy, like they don't have the most defensive depth usually. When you have a player miss out due to a red card, you're worried for who has to step in. But guys like Daniel Steres and Nick Dupuy, who are seen as like these aren't Galaxy quality defenders. Like we can't win anything with them. Galaxy fans would think, but now they're starting to look decent as well.
Mm.
And this looks like more of a team than just like a collection of a few star players in offensive positions and then the rest.
Yeah, and I don't know the hype yet on Araujo. I haven't, or yeah, I believe that's who it is. I haven't seen anything crazy from him when we played Clásicos. There's another young Mexican player. I forgot his name.
Alvarez.
Alvarez. Thank you. I haven't seen the hype on him either. I think they just kind of don't play that well during the Clásicos, but that's what I've gotten from those two exciting prospects from them. I
A
think
lot of the
Jonathan.
hype comes from had the opportunity to represent either USA or Mexico,
Mm,
and both teams were trying hard for his services. He showed a lot of promise when he broke into the Galaxy team,
mm,
and he's kind of been quieter since then. Like nowadays, you get more attention from the likes of Caden Clark, Cade Cowell,
right.
Gianluca Buzio, but he's still a promising young talent. MLS players with the Mexican national team, it's a little bit tougher for them to break into because, Liga MX teams have been dominating the CONCACAF Champions League, so that's
Yeah.
not necessarily the best audition to be one of the Mexican national team players. And the bias, of course, that you'd prefer to see players from the league that you watch every week rather than Major League Soccer. So, but you see that in more and more of these Mexican national team squads that there is a slight MLS influence, and Alvarez could continue that trend.
Yeah, and the the Quakes have a young Mexican American athlete too, but he's just been really quiet. Speaking of Cade Cowell, I mean, where is Cade Cowell? Where is the Cade Cowell
No.
we saw the first couple of games? And I mean, I can quickly tell you what's going on. People aren't giving him that over the head ball where he has to basically just outrun the center back for it. I've only seen that once. I remember Chris Dangerfield talking about it at the last home game that the Quakes had. We haven't seen those type of passes in a long time, and they just need to be doing that more. Just heave the ball up. I mean, I know it's direct one way, really ugly soccer, but Cade
Mm-hmm.
Cowell is more athletic than a lot of these center backs. Let him go
Absolutely.
for it. Let him go for it. I mean, give him that one on one, and
Let him cook.
yeah, right. Let Cade cook, but that's good. That's gonna be the Quakes title to this one. Let
We
Cade
should
cook.
start
All
a
right.
T-shirt. Let Cade cook.
But no, definitely they need to let him do his own thing. And I want to give a quick shout out, and I'm not being biased because I got a lot of slack. I got a lot of flack for this, but the only person that I thought, actually, I'm lying. Two people I saw have a great impact on this game when they came in was Siad Haji. Great,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
looked awesome out there. He looked very calm on the ball. I mean, I saw him running at full speed, right? But it didn't look like he was trying. I mean, it looked like he was just a natural with the ball at his feet, even when he was running at full sprint. But I want to see some more Siad Haji. I mean, who knows? Very well. Like Fierro doesn't give us a lot of creativity out of that side. Hey, put Siad out there. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get, and then bring on Fierro at the end. So definitely, I'm excited to see more Siad Haji. But the second person that I thought did really good when they came on was everybody's favorite Andy Rios, baby. I thought Andy Rios was really creative during the game, had the best opportunity on goal, but unfortunately Jonathan Bond saved it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if Andy Rios made that, and then we're talking about possibly a 1-1 draw, maybe people start thinking differently about Andy Rios. But again, I saw Matt Doyle get on the Andy Rios hate, and honestly, I wrote a tweet and I deleted it because I didn't want to stir the pot anymore. But
Yeah.
I wrote, hey, yeah, let's hate on the guy that had the most creative point of the game. Let's hate on him for that. But again, I thought he had two great chances to score or at least cause havoc, and unfortunately, Jonathan Bond just
You
got
didn't want to
both
get
of them.
quote tweeted by Matt Doyle and then
Yeah,
like get ratioed.
yeah, right. So definitely deleted that one because again, I think Andy Rios is going to do well this year, but he's just as productive as Danny Husen was last year, and people love Danny Husen, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely it's going to happen. It's the price tag, and unfortunately, we all know that. But keep an eye out. We still have an interview. Our Patreon supporters can listen to it, but hopefully, it's coming out in English soon. But Ivan, who was your man of the match?
So, from a Quakes perspective, I'd say Utzon coming to the lineup and being that heart of the midfield is my man of the match for the Quakes. I think the Judson Revenue partnership merits more usage. Hopefully, not at the expense of Jackson Yule. I think we can try putting Jackson Yule as a number 10 role, and then I'd be happy to. Sorry to say, but like someone like Fierro or Chofis, they can move to the bench or something and come on as a super sub that way. But or there's so many midfield possibilities. But as long as Judson is a part of that combination, I'm happy to see it.
Yeah,
Overall, though, MLS Player of the Week for Week 7 was Jonathan Bond, so he is the man of this match for sure.
yeah, and I'm still in love with Dom Skipper's formation idea. Cade and Espinoza up top, and then play all three in the midfield. Kick Fierro to the bench. But hey, if it's not working, do something new, right? So definitely we could probably see some of that. I mean, if you don't want to start Espinoza, you can always go with Wando or yeah, imagine Wando and Cade, right? Why don't we see them together? Why don't we see them together as a
Yeah.
1-2 punch? Like Cade stretching out the back line and Wando finding the space in behind it. So let's see something new. Let's see Siad Haji out there. Let's see Wando and Cade together. So definitely a lot to look forward in this next game.
A little bit of a scouting mission for the Quakes fans and ourselves included. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Up next for the Galaxy, they're hanging out with Cascadia. They're going to welcome Sounders to Southern California before heading up to Vancouver or heading east to Vancouver, technically. I believe the Canadian teams are playing in Florida, or that could be Montreal. I honestly forget where Vancouver Whitecaps are playing right now. But anyway, they play Seattle and Vancouver. And then we get Cali Clasico round 2 at PayPal Park, where it's going to be packed and it's going to be full of Quakes fans eager to see their team reverse their fortunes. Speaking of fortunes changing, in our fantasy league, I got my first loss of the season. Congratulations to what a wonderful world. Brandon, you did a good job. You beat me 93-75. I did get 19 points from Kai Wagner, but an unfortunate DMP from Kamal Miller. He wasn't called up by Canada for this break, so WTF. Walker Zimmerman only got me 2 points.
He's on my team.
And I left 7 points on the bench with Andy Nahar and now that I have Carlos Gill on my team, that's not enough. I also have to captain him next week. So, lessons learned. Favi, you lost 65-50 to San Jose Wando.
Not looking so bright.
Still 4-3. You got a winning record still.
I'm in the playoffs. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. And now let's take a look at the MLS table. So in the Western Conference, up top is Seattle Sounders. They didn't win this week. They drew to Austin, so they slowed down a bit. They're at 18 points, but still, a great start to the season for them, undefeated. Second place, Sporting Kansas City, 16 points. Third place, LA Galaxy, and every team from LA Galaxy down, besides Dynamo and ourselves, they have played at least one game less. So, as Quakes fans, we're definitely nervous right now because there's a lot of opportunities for teams to catch up on us. Fourth place was Rapids with 13 points. And then filling out the playoff spots, Dynamo with 11, Quakes in 6 with 9, a very, honestly undeserved 6th place with all the games in hand other teams have. Timbers in 7th with 9 points as well. And then below the playoff line, reads RSL, LAFC, Vancouver Whitecaps, Austin, and then Minnesota and Dallas. Not teams I expected to be near the bottom still, but that's where they are right now. What are your thoughts, Favi, on the Western Conference?
Yeah, I mean, let me get a tie from LAFC, Whitecaps, Austin, Minnesota, and Dallas. If we get a tie from all those teams, we're still in the playoffs. So, I mean, it could be worse, right? We could be LAFC, right? What if you lose the next game and you have 8 points sitting at this break? So,
honestly, I don't think LAFC fans are as worried.
Yeah.
I made a few LAFC fan friends during my time in San Diego. I'm probably one of 3 Quakes fans in San Diego, so there's not like Quakes watch parties down there. There are LAFC watch parties, so the enemy of my enemy is my friend in terms of the Galaxy. But they're confident that their star power and their team will pick it up, and I think they have a good shot. They lost to New York City FC,
Yeah.
and New York City aren't a joke this year. I think that's not a loss. You can be like, oh man, we lost to these scrubs. So they'll be all right. I'll be shocked if they're below the playoff line 2 months from now.
So, like you said, there's only 3 fans in San Diego. Well, there's about 3 in Japan. So maybe we could start a misplaced Quakes out here in Japan. Misplaced Japan, right? So, but guys, it could be worse.
It might
right?
be easier to convince Quakes fans Japanese fans to be Quakes fans, since they may not have allegiances to other MLS teams, than convincing fans in San Diego, where there's 2 closer MLS teams and the San Diego Loyal in USL. So
just be like, hey guys, in San Diego, we're right next to this big country named Mexico, and our coach named Matias Almeida used to coach Chivas, the biggest team in Mexico.
I got 11 days to make that pitch. We'll see what I can do.
No,
Eastern
definitely.
Conference standings. We got the New England Revolution, led by MLS fantasy MVP right now, Carlos Gill. They have 17
MVP
points.
in MLS, right? So definitely.
Yeah, he's off to a great start. Philadelphia Union, 14 points. Shout out Kai Wagner, keep giving me those points. Orlando City in 12 points, 3rd place. NYC 11 points, 4th. And then the rest of the playoffs is also 11-point teams. Montreal, Crew, and Nashville running up that top 7. Below the playoff line, Atlanta United 10 points. Red Bulls and DC United 9 points each. Inter Miami with 8 points. And then the 3 worst teams perhaps in the league, Toronto FC, Chicago Fire, and
Oh,
Cincinnati.
Toronto. Whoa.
I mean,
5
right now
points.
they haven't been playing well. Like they have some good players still, but we've still yet to see Alejandro Pozuelo come back from
Yeah.
injury. All the drama with Josie Altidore, and I think this ship has sailed. I think for Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley with the U.S. men's national team, they'll get their testimonial matches or they'll get call ups here and there from this point on, but they are not, in the big picture moving forward. So it's
Yeah.
not looking great for Toronto.
I could see Josie out the door playing in Liga MX soon, probably. Maybe next year. We'll see.
I am not sure because, I believe Sloane Stevens, she's not, they don't play a lot of tennis matches in Mexico. I think he's going to want to stay somewhat close to her when she's playing like US Open and stuff. So,
Hmm. Who do you think takes him?
um, in MLS,
Yeah.
if Toronto let him go,
Red Bulls?
yeah, I think that would be an interesting move.
Yeah.
Bring him back to where it all started. But I think they're trying this rebuild thing. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if Josie Altidore fits
Uh,
that timeline.
Austin
Um,
FC.
Austin FC could be a place.
Yeah.
FC Cincinnati has a revolving door of strikers. He could go there.
No, but they just bought Burner or Brenner. So
Brenner,
so
you could come off the bench.
or LAFC.
Oh, LAFC, now that could be
Yeah.
interesting. Like they, with strikers and attackers, they, fit these extra pieces in seamlessly. Like we
Right.
saw what they did with Bradley Wright Phillips. I think if any organization can get the best out of
Right.
Josie Altidore, it could be his former U.S. coach and Bob Bradley.
Definitely. So, but exciting things. I mean, the standings. The Quakes. Hey, we got our 9 points. The guys have. I know the other teams have games at hand, but hey, they have to do something with those games. So, we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll
it's
see what
not
happens.
guaranteed that they'll win those games, but
Right.
it's one of those things where if it's one team with a game in hand, you're like, okay, like we just need this to happen, and then when you're relying on so many things to go your way, it's like trying to get the Raiders into the playoffs. You
Yeah.
need this game to go this way, and then this game, has to happen in a certain way.
Ivan.
But anyway,
So,
yeah,
to speak a little bit about Oakland right now, you're an A's fan, right?
yes,
How do you feel? Both teams moving to Las Vegas.
like crap. That's how I feel. Like, I can't even joke about the situation. Like, uh, even though the Warriors are still in the Bay Area, losing them in Oakland,
Mm,
it hurts. Like, I was born in Oakland,
they're
have
missing their
family
soul.
in Oakland,
Yeah.
and as much as I like to see all the cool Oakland gear that the Warriors have put on display on their court and in
Yeah.
their jerseys this season, like where was this when they were still in Oakland? Like
Right.
a lot of people who were season ticket holders who went to games in and out when the Warriors, before Steph Curry, before the We Believe era, when it was still pretty bad for the
Yeah.
Warriors, like they still made Roracle what it was,
Mm,
and it feels like a lot of the love they're showing for Oakland, it's only empty gestures really,
superficial.
because
Yeah.
yeah, and then Las Vegas Raiders, I'm not happy about that. I have not bought a single piece of Raiders merchandise since
Mm,
they've moved. And the A's are all Oakland have left, and there's a myriad of factors that contributes to that. Oakland roots. They still have the Oakland roots, but in terms of
yeah.
professional sports, the A's are what they have left. And it's similar to here in San Diego. They lost the Chargers. They only have the Padres. There's no threat of the Padres leaving, thankfully for them. They're good fans here in San Diego. I wouldn't
So
want them to lose their baseball team,
yeah.
but that's the reality that A's fans are looking at in Oakland. And to
Yeah.
see Dave Cavall tweet a picture
Right.
in a Vegas Golden Knights game saying, "Oh wow, like it's not just, you're not being complimentary to Vegas for the sake of it. You're advertising Vegas to the owners and other investors in the Oakland A's to try to jump ship, and it's a slap in the face to fans."
Well, honestly, if the A's do move, it might be one of the best things to happen to the Quakes because possibly Fisher sells or MLS looks at Oakland and they're like, wait, what's going on here? The Oakland Roots are the only professional team in this city. We could create a derby, basically a derby with San Jose and Oakland. Who knows if they get they get a potential bid eventually to become part of MLS. So
Yeah, and let me
this,
specify:
yeah,
it's USL Championship is still professional soccer. I meant top division soccer.
yeah,
I
top,
mean
right,
top
top
division
division, yeah.
sports. Yeah.
So this could be a very, very interesting story for Quakes fans. So all Quakes fans should really be following this Oakland A's situation because the Mayor's playing hardball. I mean, they played hardball with the Raiders and they're playing the same hardball with the A's. And they might lose both teams. So definitely exciting things if you're an Quakes fan, but if you're an A's fan, heartbreaking things.
Yeah.
But just to go into fan questions, we're gonna go right into this. Ivan, I'm gonna ask you the first one. Discord question: was Jonathan Bad good, or was the shooting bad? This comes from I believe, Mud on Discord. His name is Calvin. So definitely, Ivan. What do you think?
Actually, I believe it was someone else.
Mm.
All I know is that he has like a Brazilian emoji, flag emoji. So I
A
tried to
Brazilian
reach out to
fan.
him what name he wanted to go by, but didn't get back to us.
All
But
good.
anyway, I think it was a combination of both. I think Jonathan Bond, he made some good saves. Not all of the 12 saves when you get that much in a soccer match are going to be, highlight reels, but I think the Quakes, they have been wasteful with their opportunities. One goal in 4 games. It hasn't just been a lack of trying. They have gotten in positions to score. They just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Um, they've scored as many goals for their opposition as they have for themselves in 4 games. That's not great. Like, it
Yeah.
sucks.
Right. And if the shooting was that bad, he wouldn't have won MLS Player of the Week. So definitely
Right.
Jonathan Bond deserved it because he was really good. So the
Yeah.
icing on the cake would have been a penalty stop, but the way he was on that game, he probably would have got one. Next question: Matt Riley on Facebook: has Andy Rios done enough to warrant his role compared to other forward options? Ivan, I've talked a lot about this, so let's hear what you have to say.
I think we've seen enough from Andy Rios, and you've pointed out the good points of his game. We all know the bad points of his game because everyone in the Quakes community makes it abundantly clear. Um, but I think you cannot not play Andy Rios. He is the second most expensive player on the team,
Right.
and he is
Yeah.
showing why he has ability, and it just hasn't been going for him. Like in a similar way, like Timo Werner has been unlucky for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Andy Rios has often been unlucky for San Jose Earthquakes. I think he is sometimes, with all due respect, he is at fault for some of his shortcomings, but I don't think
Definitely.
that is the case right now. If
Mm.
anything, it's a shared blame across the team as a whole and not necessarily pinpointed on one player in particular.
Yeah, and Timo, that's a UCL champion, Timo Werner, right? So
I
def,
know.
definitely, I saw a couple of comments on Twitter saying strong Timo Werner vibes from Andy Rios. So hopefully we get to say MLS champ Andy Rio one day. So
Yeah.
I on Discord, Nico Gonzalez. I mean, he asked us on Facebook another thing too, but he asked me to sell us the opinion that Andy Rios needs to be signed again on a DP contract. And I said, no, that is literally suicide. I'm not going to do that because everybody's going to clip it and throw it up on Twitter and just try to make me look bad. No, wait. Maybe we get to sign him back
That
on
would be
a.
a sign that you've made it, though, in a
Yeah,
way.
right. Just become the Alexi Lawless of Quake's Twitter, just saying
Or MLS
crap.
Twitter, even.
Yeah, right. But no, I think if we could sign him on a 200K contract, okay, why not? But what I want to say is, um, Andy Rios's manager is the winner out of all of this. If he got his client a $900,000 contract,
His agent.
yeah, his agent, sorry,
Yeah.
his agent deserves 30% of that, 40% of that. So definitely,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, a good agent is essential in this business, so good for him. Uh,
yeah, no,
he
definitely,
Nico Gonzalez wanted us to know as well. Should Quakes play Siad Haji more? It seems like the league has figured out Cowell at the moment, and I think that's a good idea. Like, if you give Haji a bit more of an opportunity and you play through him a bit, you give Siad Haji's his confidence up, and he can make an impact as well. This is valuable experience to make him an important part of the team. And then Cade Cowell, he gets more opportunities. The attention will be less on him. He can remind the league what he's capable of. and then it becomes more of a balanced attack. You're not just looking for one or two players, but you have to look out for these youngsters as well.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about this. I think the league has figured out Cade Cowell
Mm-hmm.
in what he is right now. So that 9 role by himself up top, I think they realized if they can double him or if they can pressure him on the ball, his hold up play isn't as good as we maybe thought it was. Um, I think they should try, like we were saying earlier in the podcast, Wondolowski and Cade up top and see what happens. Do a whole bunch of long balls over the top. If he gets to the end of them, maybe Wando finds some space inside and Cade gets a whole bunch of assists. So either way, I want to see something different out of Cade Cowell up top. I want to see him with Wando or even Espinoza at the top too. So I just wanted to go ahead and say that. But Jim Pacelli asks, why does it feel like none of our offseason moves are working?
So
Because
you
they're
may be expecting me to think, oh, you gotta give the new signings more time, but you
no.
gotta face the music. It's 20 to 25% of the season is out the window now.
Right.
You have to see more from these new additions to justify why they're being in this team, and I'm still waiting for some of those answers. To be quite
Yeah.
honest.
It honestly, the last 4 games with 1 goal have been such a blur. It's just like, why isn't Trophies Lopez playing a full 90 yet? He looks like he can. Just
Yeah,
some of the
it's not a
things,
fitness issue.
yeah, some of the things are just looking a little bit too similar every single game, and we need something to shake things up. No pun intended, right? We need an earthquake to shake things up. No, but
Yeah,
Eric Santiago went ahead and said no excuse to lose to our rival. Yep, I agree with that,
and
Ivan.
well, I mean, you're not gonna win every game against your
Mm,
rival as much as you'd like to, but
that's what
yeah,
makes a
I think
rivalry, right?
it's a similar sentiment that what Chris Wondolowski felt. It didn't land in his top 10
Mm,
uh, California Classicos, and it's not because it was a bad game. I think objectively, it was an entertaining game. The commentators were into it, and both local commentary and the two DN commentators as well. But I think just from a Quakes perspective, like it was frustrating to watch. Like at the very least, like you gotta score a goal in a rivalry game. Like that gives the fans something to cheer about.
yeah,
And it wasn't like JT Marcinkowski. We're still waiting on him to have some of his performances that he had the last
yeah,
couple seasons. Um,
and still no clean
it
sheet.
could have been a goalkeeper duel between him and Jonathan Bond, but really like he was definitely the second best goalkeeper by some distance, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Dan, Quakes fan, midseason prediction. Ivan, I know he talked to you a little bit about this, so if you would like to talk about it.
Yeah, so we're gonna put the link in the podcast description and YouTube videos. So definitely take a read of his work. He does a great job. The two main things that stood out to me, and Steve Zakwani agreed to this as well on MLSsoccer.com, is that Chris Wondolowski should be getting some starts. I think if you can't go on this bad of a run of form and have the MLS leading goal scorer just continue to come off the bench, even
Yep.
if he is not the youngest player on the team, you have to start, your best chance of scoring goals. And Chris Wondolowski represents that,
Yeah.
regardless of his age, regardless of his experience and part of his career. Like when Chris Wondolowski is on the field, you have a better chance of scoring goals than when he's not. So trying to maximize that. If you can't play full 90, maybe go with a 60 to 65-minute shift rather than a 30-minute shift. See what happens there. And his tectonic take. Matias Almeida will be the coach of the Chilean national team by November. And of course, in this dystopian future, Quakes fail to reach the playoffs, which, honestly looks a bit more realistic than dystopian, to be honest.
So,
But
yeah. So basically, there was one outcome where Matias Almeida stays as the coach for another contract, and that's if the Quakes make the playoffs but don't make the second round or a final. I think if the Quakes are so close, or if the Quakes reach the playoffs but kind of bow out early, I still think he might stay another go in San Jose. If they don't make the playoffs, he's gone. If they win a final, they're gone. Um, he's gone. So again, maybe this might be a good thing because Matias Almeida being the coach brings a whole bunch of buzz to the team and makes the team a lot more profitable. So in my
yeah,
eyes, I think Matias being here has helped everybody. I mean, definitely one of the key factors of why we've gotten a lot of Mexican fans lately. So definitely him being here is a good thing for us.
Yeah, the thing with Matias Almeida is he has to accept ownership for some of his
Mm,
mistakes. He can't just be dodging the media and making it seem like he's not to blame for anything. And he also has to reiterate that he wants to be in San Jose Earthquakes. And obviously, he wants to be here because he's had opportunities to leave before and
right.
he would have left before. But it's kind of like he's making it seem like it's a chore to be in San Jose, which is a great place to live and it's a great soccer community and you have the potential. Like this is not a bad squad and a lot of fans feel like he's not getting the most out of certain players
Yeah.
and I don't blame them for feeling that way. Lastly, looking ahead at the Quakes' next three games, Saturday, June 19th will be the next time the Quakes are in action. It's going to be a tricky away game. Austin is hosting their first ever MLS game in their stadium, so Austin is not one of the superpowers of the Western Conference, but in that stadium, I know it's going to be packed with Austin supporters excited to see their team at home for the first time.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared to battle for those 3 points. Then they go to Orlando on June 22nd.
Oof.
That's a tough trip to make in just 3 days. And then in 4 days later, you're back home for the California Clasico and LA Galaxy. Got to pick up some points here. The losing streak has to end. Ideally, you got to get a win somewhere too, but definitely start picking up points.
I
That's
haven't.
all what we're expecting.
Hopefully, we see some Orlando vibes, some Disney World vibes come back to this team from last year. MLS is back. Let's see. Let's see if they. Oh wow, I missed this place. I remember the camaraderie we had, and I want to see a Danny Houston revenge tour still. I can't wait for that Austin game. It's going to be a lot of fun, and then a Cali Clasico. So these next three games, they're going to be a lot of fun. I'm
If
predicting.
the Quakes beating Austin starts the Danny Husen and Nick Lima revenge tour for their next opponents, I'm happy for it.
Yeah.
Just wait one game. Like,
But I'm predicting possibly 7 points out of these. I think that we're going to get back on track. Ivan, what do you think?
I'm predicting 4 points.
4 points. Yeah.
I think we can beat LA Galaxy. I think that's
Tie
probably
Austin.
the best chance we can do. I think we're going to lose to Orlando.
Yeah.
I think we're going to tie Austin because of the environment that they're going to create in their first ever home game. I think this is going to be fueled with fire, and I think Quakes have a chance to. They kept it close in this game. I think that they can win against LA Galaxy, but then they have to find some other motivation to get points elsewhere because you're not going to be motivated for every team as you will for LA Galaxy, but you guys picking up points with regularity has to be the motivation.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, this is a little break that we're having, so enjoy the time. Maybe no Quakes soccer right now is a good thing because maybe the slump is something we all need to get out of. But I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Thank you to Roughneck Scarves, and thank you to Icarus FC, and of course the Beautiful Game Network. Thank you for sponsoring us and making sure that we are on all platforms for you guys to hear. So again, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcast. We are on a web browser at the Beautiful Game Network website. We are also on YouTube. So if you can take a second to quickly like all of our content and give us a rating, that would be great.
Yep, and go Quakes.
Yeah, go Quakes. Ivan, you have a piece out actually. So let all the fans know what you have wrote.
Oh, right. So I recently posted an article that basically three takeaways from the Galaxy versus San Jose Earthquakes. You can find that on mlsmultiplex.com. The link will be on the podcast description and the two videos. And I also posted it on both the San Jose Earthquakes discussion group and the Supporters of East Bay Facebook group. So if you're on either of those, you'll be able to find it there as well.
All right, and that's it from us, guys. I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon subscribers one more time, and all I have to say is
Thank you.
Go Quakes.
Go Quakes.
Thank you.